다 단다 제놈 발랑 하도 될 휴주다 되니 도진 총통 값소 댕 백값소 손데 나로지.
First, Rinpoche would like to wish everyone a good morning. Okay. First, Rinpoche would like to wish everyone a good morning, and we will now recite the short Vajradhara lineage prayer as usual with faith and devotion. Dorje Janjen Amen.
Tene ta kasen ke kapso cherdo tangbo ngendru kor ta chuntin chuni de husain ne tene de jeso ngye la hine tong hong tong ni ye bena ne ta hine la cherdo tanda chuntin ji ye bena ne ta tangbo ni de tangbo luni ta tene ta zo megiyo do churbe zola sanzembe ke churde de ta chunti ni hyusen bare la ta tring ke kapsala tene ta di megiyo do churbe zo de la sanzemba yendo Tene ta go ngai number hipe ke nane na number hipa la so pala sense betsurte hyojure.
Yesterday and in the past few days, we have covered the first 12 sessions on the preliminary practices. And then we started the discussion of the main practice. The main practice has two sections, the tranquility and insight. And there are 8 sessions of this. There are 8 sessions that describe tranquility meditation. And yesterday we described the first 2, which describe first the general points of the body and mind, and then the second describes the using form that is the object of the I as the basis for meditation. And so today we begin the next session. Today we begin the next section, which just like yesterday, taking the form that is the object of the eye as its object, it's taking the sound that is the object of the ear as the object of meditation.
Tene ta teya jerdo ta hyundukiji la hinete tenyo la tene zo gamlan jubu kapso tombo sen la necha te siya pa tene te tendo la lantong ke gam jabare la tene hinete yapo kase yana ya lantong ke salcha te chege yore re te yina ya tene hine pe ang tangbo je me na lantong je ju me ban da bo ma re hine de chi je yang lantong ke ne lu hi gangjung ke hira je yang parta kata la de chi hine yang jar to gam hine chang ba gam sen la ne cha che ru ta de la te ne lantong ke sa cha che ru ta tin de se na ya de yo re.
And so after doing the preliminary practices, we need to do the tranquility meditation. And in doing the tranquility meditation, we develop the stable part of the mind, the part of the mind that rests. And then on top of that, we do the insight meditation. And so our insight meditation is really as good as our tranquility meditation is. As the better our tranquility meditation is, then the better our insight meditation will be. However, if our tranquility meditation isn't exactly first rate, if we don't have quite the best tranquility meditation, this doesn't mean that we can't meditate upon insight meditation. And so even if our meditation isn't all that stable, even if our tranquility is not all that stable, we can meditate a little bit on insight. We can develop some clarity in our mind. We can develop some of the full knowing or prajna, this full knowing that is born out of meditation. And then after doing that for a while, we can go back to tranquility meditation. And with this tranquility meditation, then we sort of develop the stable aspect of our meditation a little bit more. And then after that, we can go back to the insight meditation and further develop the clear aspect.
Tene ta teya ta tanda kapndana on de se na le tangbo pe on de se pare le tangbo pa la tangbo ta tanda chitang ge semte nangdo hiwar ne gu hiware de inaya ngarancho ta sosuji o tamal pe semte tongbo ni chela ka korne che yol zo dāt rō rīzā la tōngi wāre la tini te la pa sem tēne sem hiwar nepe ke tsol te sōng re la Tene tate to yinji minji hine gomna tene che yola misal ke te gubi chaba yo mare te le tangbo ba namji ta tel te na yang digi yo re la tene ya kap la che yola sensei na yang digi yo re tene ta ti ke kasen ke kapsula tene takpa ta madabe zuk ji namba la sensei be ke churte yune ta ti ke make number hippie Yesu drane tene tela santene san hiwarne parel ta te jendo make number hiba kona mainpa nawe number hiba te yul kande nyongge ware sena ta datu ge ware la tene date koran kande tuna ta tanda ndena ne da longye wa se ancho gno da cha yimba tela semai pa tenhi ton dembe go ni nyambri ga na yon de ge wa re la te yin da ma tu na ya na e number hi be ge yol du churba te tene tere tene ta tela kandar take nang da sona tichlewa se nala ta tsang bodang ngemba kan ina yo nyon yimba tela semte zangbo ta ngemba ta tene je yakbo ta dubu ge nam to hira me ba kora da zang to te zang da tuba zang to te chorwa zang de maji ba ten hi do dembe go ne ti dain do sem naldo yabate insare.
Here, when we are talking about tranquility, we're primarily talking about beginners, the tranquility meditation for beginners, because beginners need to learn how to let the mind rest inside with itself, and so we need to look inside and rest inside with our internal selves. But rather, beginners have a habit of looking out at the external objects of sounds or smells or tastes and so forth. And so we need, for this reason, we have the method of using these as a way to develop tranquility, which is taught. So it is not actually absolutely necessary that we do this. It's not absolutely necessary that we hold the external objects as the objects of or the focus of our meditation. But this is something that we can use if we are beginners, and we can use it, and it is okay to use it as a way to help hold our minds. And so yesterday we talked about looking at forms and looking at various pure and impure forms. And so this is just sort of using our eyes to look and not following too much with thoughts. Following this, we can do this not just with our eyes, but we can also use our ear consciousness. We can meditate upon that which the ear consciousness hears or sound. And so here it's just whatever we hear, it's what we hear. And in the instructions here, it says that you should direct your mind merely at merely an outstanding sound. So an outstanding sound, a bright or vivid sound, and then you should listen to that. And not only that, you can also and keep your attention on that without being distracted. And if you can do that, that is okay. And it's not just, or at times when you aren't hearing any particularly loud sound or strong sound, then you can focus on a scent that you might smell. So there might be some sort of a strong odor, it says in the instructions here. So you can also do that. And then you should not think about, is it a pleasant or unpleasant? Is it a good or a bad odor. You shouldn't think about that at all. You should not think about whether it is good, whether it is bad, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant. You should not follow any thoughts that think about that. You just hear what you hear, and you just smell what you smell, and then you just don't forget that. Maintain your mindfulness and rest upon that.
Tene ta tejendo go ngai number hipa kana ne ta tanda che number hipi ro nyong ge yore la tene te ro nyong kapsala ro itendo tene yapa ta tene luji number hipi ge riza nyong ge yore la riza nyong atela luji yodo che riza tela riza jambo tong tsupo dewa ta me dewa la so ba nyong ge tendo tene semai pa tene yone ta tela kasin shuba yendo chitang tremba sena zo chitang ngaran so sem tang tene ta te tremba yang sem re ta sem korang namjur re song ge yore de ina yang sem tang sem jung ni bo de kaka yore la sem de korang sarcha zong ke da tene tingone namdo mambo yoyong kapsala ya tremba senkin de korang tujondo tige saina tremba de yona majiba tremba de mena jindo andabo tene tremba de yona kan ina yang sarcha tang temba tremba de mena tene kan re son sahab go andabo tene temu go on de hondo andabo ta tende yungi yore teacher na gom je kapsala tremba de kalche ge yore tene tremba de kalche ge yore la ta ti go ngai number hipa kandi ge jesu yona ya kandi je nyona ya tene ti tanda tremba tan dembe go ne make so tawa na we da tupa tene la sopa ta tinde jin gong ko yo.
Similarly, we use the objects of the others of the five senses as the object of meditation. We can use the taste, which is the object of the tongue consciousness, or we can and so in that case we just rest on top of or in relation to the taste that we are experiencing. And likewise, we can use the touch, which is the object of the body consciousness. So when we feel a touch with our body consciousness, then we just rest on that. We do not think about whether it is a soft or a rough or a pleasant or an unpleasant touch. We just, without being distracted, we just rest in relation to that touch. And so yesterday, as Rinpoche was talking about how important mindfulness is for this. And so mindfulness is really quite important for this meditation. And usually when we think of mindfulness, we think of it as being sort of an aspect of our minds, an aspect of our consciousness, something that we think about with our consciousness. And however, in terms of both consciousness or mind and mental factors, mind or consciousness is really here just the clear aspect, the clear knowing aspect of the mind. And it's within that clear knowing aspect of the mind that the many different thoughts move about. And here, mindfulness, on the other hand, is a little different. It's just the faculty of remembering. It's remembering what is happening. And so if we have good mindfulness, then we don't forget. If we don't have mindfulness, then we do forget. And so if we do have mindfulness, we are able to know what we are doing, understand what we are doing, and not forget what we are doing. If we do not have mindfulness, then we do not know what we're doing, we do not understand what's going on, and we lose ourselves into delusion. And so for this reason, it is important to have it when we are meditating. It is important to maintain mindfulness when we are meditating. And so at the time that we are meditating upon any of the objects of the 5 different sense gates, then whatever it is, we just rest upon that. And so we just look at the object of the eye consciousness. We just hear the object of the ear consciousness, and we just and the rest of them, and we just meditate or rest upon those objects.
Tene tateya chitanga ngaranso tago ngai number hibate la ngaranso ge pranging somno tang kapso tene tanda make zutongwa to no we datu patenzo che ombo ta ombo ge ombo pemboti ge tene zutong to ombo pemboti ge datu ge to ombo pemboti ge tsor ge to sambata bo yore ina ya te mare tene ombo te pembo te chewe number hipa chewe chen zam chege yore tene ngune ge yul nyong su nyong ken te su nyong ge yore se na tene number hipi nyong ge yore make ombo la tene te ya tanda ngembe de ne ge nong to song na chitang make number hipa te chewe ge chen te la tene yul on hi sam se ge yore som zam ne tene te yul de zo tana ya pa chai ta se ge yul zo tene che se ge chen te wang bo tana ya pa chai tene te ya tan de ge hipa tene ngone ta ge yin som be hipa ti som zam ne tene me ge number hipa che ne zo te ngu su nyom wa da te yen do dra te pa yin na ya yul dra ya pa ta tene wang bo na we number hi na we ong bo te ya pa ta tene dra tun de ge lo ya pa ta ti som den zam ne tene yul to ong bo to hipa som den zam ne dra te pa te yen do yul tre tene ong bo na tene number hipa na number hipa te ji ne yul tre sorwa te yen do ta ro ji number hipi ge ro nyong ta tene luchi number hipi ge reza nyong te ta yul so so lan ju gi yo la yul so so lan ju pa yin be cher na tene te la sem ma yin pa te na tene te sem te no yin ge ta go nga yin number hipa te ta te ji so tu pa yi te number hipa te so tene no yin ge on ta ma hro wa tene tembi ge sai ne ta te la zal jong ra bo yung re so.
When we talk about the 5 sense gates, or the 5 senses, the 5 sense gates, normally we think that it is the eye that sees the form. And we think that it is the ear that hears the sound, and we think that it's the nose that smells and so forth. But actually, when we look at it, it's the eye is not really what hears the sound, because the eye is actually just material. So that is just the faculty, and that faculty is just matter. It is not actually that hears the sound. So it is not actually the eye that sees smell, nor is it actually the ear that hears the sound, or so forth. What they are, what actually hears it is the consciousness. It is actually the consciousness that experiences the object. So the eye consciousness experiencing the form, and the ear consciousness experiencing the sound. And the faculty is just the support for that. And so what we have is we have 3 different things that come together. We have the object, we have the faculty, and we have the consciousness. So faculty here is another way of saying sense, but it's a little bit more expansive than sense. We have the object, the faculty, and the consciousness, and all 3 must come together in order for us to experience something. when we think about seeing something, then we have the object of the I consciousness, which is a form. And then we have the support, which is the faculty, the I faculty itself. And then we have the consciousness that wishes to look or that wishes to see, and that is the I consciousness. And when these three all come together, then we are able to experience a visual consciousness, a sight, an I consciousness. And it is the same thing with our with what we hear. We have the sound that is the object. We have the faculty of the ear. And then we have the ear consciousness that arises based upon then we have the mind that wishes to hear, and so these three coming together produce an ear consciousness. And it's the same way with the other senses. And so we have scent that we wish to smell. We have the the faculty of the nose, and then the nose consciousness arises. And we have the taste, and we have the tongue consciousness, and we have a taste, and we have the body, or we have the tongue faculty, and we have the taste, and we also have the body faculty, and we have a touch. And so in this way, we have these different types of objects that we can that we experience and that our consciousness experiences. And so these are what we can and so when we are practicing meditation upon them, we can just let our minds rest without being distracted upon them, upon these five gates and upon the consciousnesses of the five gates. And so if we do that, we have these five gates that we rest on, and then the mind consciousness will follow along with them. And then as we meditate in this way, this will become clearer and clearer, it is said.
Tene tate tengeng wi kapsu gomtong ka korrela tate ombugo nga chachang je kadu kan inaya peji shene hine je dingen zenju gombe ka tap rela tene tejendo ta tengeng wi kapsu ta tendese gom tene tensong la ya ta mengon da bo anasong yo rela tensong la ya te je temba te kase ten tutu je temba yapo je ten semayin basena pe pento je bo yaba je dan tene te yendo dana la mengon da bo sum de la tensong ga kapso ngogen na je no rohirji lujin rondu ngogen na je no rohirji 망보 메자 세 테네 베 루진 론두 흉침보 똑침보 답본다 보던데 기도 메지 점보 레보시 테네 대견도 나기 깨치기 베가설라요 제 답보 흉침보 던데 테네 제 야보 베 가니 가치비게 세다 도나 도치비게 세라서 보면서 점보 진에 더힐진데 빵네 루진 정도이나 더힐진데 맞아 대견도 나긴 하지이나 더힐진데 맞아 대견도 루진 정도이나야 대지 뉴뉴도보다 검잡갑라 대 두전도 숨겨와 말해 검잡갑 당하란선 참대갑다보다 검잡갑다보라 되니 대진 정도 뉴뉴지 되니 깨차야 뉴뉴히나 깨차 망보히나 남동토 진시 되니 세면니베 조시게 요래 깨차 탁포든데 히나 되니 되게 세면니베 진시게 요래라 되니 다 대견도 이지 이 있나야 생지지 솔로노 젠지데 되니 제 차리기 망보요 되니 제 단돌 니종그 솔로 망보제 땅나 되니 되게 산네발라 냥가라 가르드지게 요래라 대답을 많이 봐 달lungo 예섬 지럽지가살라요 때 신점보 더보지가 냥가라 감조 스타트니스 감나트니스 감잡 갑라야야 펜보 더보 용그래라 대답을 대당 가라와잖아 감잡 깔라요 때 세메네바 나도 망보 좋아 된대 용그요래
And so this is a description of how to use the 5 sense gates as the object of meditation during your actual practice. So that is how to do this during the actual practice. And so at any time you can use any of these 5 as the object of your meditation. And so this is the practice this is what you do during the actual meditation practice. And then in between sessions, it is important that we maintain our mindfulness without being distracted, and that we remember what we do. We try not to be distracted, and we do this. And so here there is some. There are instructions here in the there are instructions here in the text which said that. Tell you what to do in the in-between parts. And so it says, as for how to look, you should be directed on what is in front of your nose. As for your body and speech, whether you're walking or sitting, talking or speaking, do these neither too strongly nor too much. As for your mind, try to cut the stream of your conceptual thoughts and mental chatter. By stages like this, you will build up the habit of single-mindedness. And so here, what it is saying is that when you are going or you're doing things, do not do these too forcefully. Do not try to put too much effort or do them too much. If you do that, then it will be difficult to maintain your meditation. And so you need to keep not do anything too strong with your body, but remain relaxed and loose. And likewise with your speech, you need to not be too forceful with your speech, not say too strong words. And so you don't say strong words that make you upset. You don't say unpleasant words that make you upset. Nor do you say words that make you especially happy, things that make you overjoyed and happy like that. But rather you just be loose and relaxed with your speech. And so you keep yourself very loose and don't do anything that is too strong. In particular, at times when you are sitting in a retreat, at those times it is important that you do not go about too much, that you do not wander about too much, and when you go, that you do not go with too much force, but that you go nice and easily, relaxed, and go. And when you should not have much conversation. You should not talk too much or have too many conversations, because if you do these are like conditions that will prevent your mind from resting. And so you just be nice and relaxed. And so if you do this, then if you keep yourself nice and relaxed with your body and with your speech, then your mind will follow along. And so with your mind, you should not think too much about either overcoming or getting the better of your enemies or trying to help out your friends too much, but rather you should just let your mind be very gentle, kind, loose and relaxed. Let it just let it rest evenly. And if you can do this, this will be very beneficial for your meditation. If, on the other hand, you don't do this and you have a lot of forceful actions, a lot of strong thoughts, then it won't be beneficial for you. This will just be something that will end up creating a lot of thoughts in your mind.
다 대 준티 숨바래라 되네 대지스 준티 이바테 다 띵엔절라 깝깔라 데 진로데 텔라 짠용거요 짠테 지용한테 짠살고거요라 되네 짠용 다 깝는다나 송요 마레테 이나야 다 단다 공거 티 현도 그런데 용탐지가 난도 송나 되네 지당게 띵엔선지 짠 안다보다 단다 되네 거바당 Tene gapa sena tache nguma jipuchunga yapuchunga tendenda manda saja mambolo chimba ndabo tende tene yana tende gugudu somne tene namto mambo njone tene te namto de kama ba ta tela gapa seyo la gapa tene ta te yendo niba tela njapa Sungiwarela. Jepasena, Yate, Norsonwa, Yapo Majunwa, Tinde Tene, Tate, Yapo Chomason, Somne, Yanni, Yang to San Corne, Tene Sempa Chipo Mebata, Sempa Devo Mebat, Sen Nes Machupa, Tinam to the Mambo Horwatel, Jepa, Gapatan, Jepa. Tene Tejendo Nesem Sena. Tene Naranga Dawn Rabotang Aranga Magave Mela, Jangin, Nepachalgi, Telangi, Chigi, Sombatabuga, Somon Corvatella, Nesems, Takandi Chigudu, Tela Madewachi Chigudu, Tela Yapomepa Chigudu, Sambatabo, Nesem. Tene Ta Mupa. Tene mupate la mupate sem tepne tene semba salvo mepa tene te mukni sena tene gashin redu tene te nyik ndwanda bo tombo masalwa tene nyik ndwa mukni tene ta te jendo ngaba te tesam tesam sena ta che yapori bandra duboy bandra te kandi ina son ta chi ma to lo te ya te tesam te yang ya te insare te insamare somne tesam ta tinde ge nom to tro ge jo san mene be ge jin number nga ten de song yo la song yo re te yin ya ta zo de number ni de sung ge yo re number ni de sinwa tang ge pa ta salwa ta masalwa ni ge chala se singe ni si sain se na mu pa ta ni ta ta tinde ge kor la masalwa chung che ta ge se na ta ti ka ti konsula je pa tong tesam tong nesem la so ba kanga ta sem ge ro in bicherna singe ni ji konsu do na te si jen te sal de ge yo la te ka ndar jen ni ge on te se so re.
And so that completes the third session, or the third point here, the point of other sensory objects, it's called in your text. And then following that comes the next point. And here a note on this text. Actually, the heading for this text is cut off on most of your, at least on my Xerox. I don't know if it is on yours. It should be, I think, eliminating agitation and dullness. And so back to what Rinpoche said. And so this next session, the fourth session, is about eliminating faults in our meditation. It is possible that sometimes there will be faults that will arise in our meditation. And when they do arise in our meditation, we need to be able to get rid of them. And so here, although it is not mentioned in these instructions, in other many instructions and manuals, there are 5 different faults of meditation that are mentioned. And so these 5 faults are first, the first fault is the fault of agitation. And so agitation is when we get excited about things that we've already done. And so we think about something we've already done. Oh, that was good. That really turned out well. I'm really happy about that. And we think about it over and over again. We like this. I want that. That was really nice. I like that. Or we think maybe I'd like to have this happen in the future. I want this good thing in the future. And so we remember things, or we think that we need these. And so as a result of this, we have a lot of thoughts that arise in our mind, a lot of distractions and a lot of thoughts that arise in our mind. The second fault is regret. And so in regret we think, oh, that was a mistake. That was a problem. That didn't turn out so well. That was not good. We think about that over and over again. And think, oh, that wasn't good at all. And so we just think about this, and our mind becomes very unhappy about that. And so that's the second fault of regret. The third fault is malice. And for malice, it's you think, oh, there's this enemy. I have this person who's being mean to me, this enemy, and he's done something wrong to me. He's hurt me in some way, or she's hurt me in some way. They've hurt me in some way, and so I need to get revenge on them. I need to do something back. I need to do something that's going to hurt them in some way. And so we think in this way, and our mind gets very excited and we think about this quite a bit, and we get distracted in that way. The fourth fault is the fault of dullness, or I could say actually fogginess, the fault of fogginess here. And so that's when our mind just sort of closes in on itself and we can't really think of much. We get very dull and can't think of much. And so this, our mind is very unclear. There isn't any clarity in our mind. And then this leads us to get very sleepy. And so we have this fault of fogginess and sleepiness. And so here, when this happens, then we are not able to keep ourselves awake. We just fall asleep. And then we have the fifth fault, the fault of doubt. And the fault of doubt is thinking, oh, is this good or is it not good? Or is it bad? Is it good? It's not knowing, is this right or is this wrong? Not being sure about what we're doing. We sort of fall between two different sides, and we can't really make up our mind about anything. And as a result, we can't decide anything. Is it this? Isn't it this? And we think about this over and over again. And so in this way, we have these 5 different faults of that can arise in our meditation. And any of these faults can lead us to have a lot of thoughts and distract us from our meditation. And so these are the 5 different faults. But although there are these 5 different faults, they all actually can be combined into 2 different faults. And so primarily there are these 2 different faults of dullness and agitation. And so of the 5 different faults, then the fault of fogginess and sleepiness would fall under the de la gopa de la shen
gopa de la him nesem ta
shen chi cha sa ra
re salwa gi cha
so in terms of dullness, there are it's the problem of being foggy and sleepy or having an unclear mind. And so that is what we mean by dullness. And then agitation is any of the other 4. So it's when we are agitated so all of the other 3 that are not are also included in agitation. There are the 5 faults. The first is agitation. And you can consider that the regret and the malice and doubt are all part of the agitation, because they all have a mind that is too active and too clear and with too many thoughts arising. So these are the 2 faults of dullness and agitation that are taught here.
Tene ta teyang ta te pangpe ke tapla ta kapndana la tana kare sek ngus sal de pala kare sungu yore sen mikpa ke gon salwa te sungu yore la tene ta te la jiwa masalwa cha na tene ta tanda tile kapo che mansamla ro la sente ne gomna tene tiki chiwa sarwa ta gopa salwe ki cherdola ta tanda tile napo che densamla rone tela semte pa ta tende sungi yore ti mikpa la tene sensamba mikpa la tene chiwa ta gopa salwa re la tene te jendo yang kapka la tene tatang ka gone te tatang ka gone jelam ka gone tene siwa ta gopa salwa ke tap te la tene siwa chona te che namkha la tawa ra ta tene lula tene te che silbo so ko sap tene se che chua tene sa te yendo gopa chona tene te la che jelam toa ra ta tene se che chewa ra tene sa na pengre re tene songa ta te te mikpigone singe sarwa ta tene te yendo te tanda chelam jigone singe sarwa
Rinpoche la den sam de Densam dila de dunla yana sina rangi
Lug nang, lugo ni, nga ni, mandwa ni, tini lugo la, denyo minyi ki samla. No.
And so we need to have ways to get rid of these faults. And so for faults, the ways that are described in the text, first it describes the way of dispelling these faults or eliminating these faults through visualization. And so the way to do that is that if we have the fault of dullness, then and dullness and non-clarity or being unclear, then we visualize that there is a white drop, a little tiny white sphere, a little white drop that is between our eyebrows, and we focus on that. And then if we have the and if we have agitation, then we should focus on a black drop that is, it says here, at the edge of the seat. Here, in the text here, it says where your folded legs touch your seat. I just clarified that with Rinpoche. It is actually down beneath your body, in your cushion beneath your body, and you focus your mind on the black dot in the cushion beneath your body. And so this is describing how to eliminate dullness and agitation through a visualization. But there are also other ways that we can dispel to dispel or to eliminate dullness and agitation. And we can do this through the way that we look, and also through through our conduct, through our behavior. So in terms of dullness, to dispel this through the way we look, you look up into the sky a little bit. So look up into the sky a little bit. And then also in terms of our conduct, in terms of our behavior, with our body we sit in a cool place, wear light clothing, and eat light foods. And then if we have agitation, then we should, with our body, sit in a warm place, wear warm, heavy clothes, and eat very heavy, nutritious food. And so these are the two methods, different ways of dispelling the dullness and agitation through our visualizations. First is described through our visualizations, and then secondly also through our behavior, the different ways to dispel the dullness and agitation.
Tene ta tejendo kamdana la salvo mena salvo masung maya ta chitang ngaranzo shipa la kulong go ne singe salvo ke tapte chingwa ti mu pa chonga da bota tene ta te la lelo chewa da bota tene la tene yungi yo la tene te la mu pa ta tro da bo che yo na tene yapu yungkarela, tene te sanji ji yenten rabota, tene ngaranzo chudrupe ke penyan rabota, tene ta perna jesi melari pala sopa, lama chi hintampe, namtaran rabo tene, tene ta tela, tepa tong mugu chi, tene siena ya, tene singwa sarwar sepata, tene gopa te kangla tene yunga yawari siena, namto yentun chua ne, che, 다 제 녀몽버게 똑다보지 게 고네 팔체르 용기 요아라 드니 데라 카리고 그래서는 샘티티 지마 조힌다보다 샘텔라 테티 마파바나 힌지 용국이 요아라 드니 데라 조히제 버시베게 탑라 마토바 감바타 코르위 니미 감바타 드니 둥할게 남바타부 감발라소 고네 티 코라 소모타나 드니 티 샘텔라 티 조히제 와라 드니 가파총도로 샘텔라 시무중 kapsala tene tarbe yenten tong sonje gi yenten tingen zinji yenten la so batena tel troache pala tene sente sinwa ti ya saine sarcha tong troanda bo yo bata tende yung yo re
it is not directly explained here. It's not clearly explained here, but it is also possible to eliminate dullness and agitation through our intentions, through our motivations, by thinking about our motivations. And so, in order to eliminate dullness through our motivation, what dullness comes about it from is when our interest is sort of lacking, and when it's sort of less, and when we're getting more lazy. And so what we need to do in order to eliminate the dullness is to increase our interest and to become more excited, more enthusiastic about it. And so in order to do this, we think about the qualities of the Buddha. And we can think about the benefits of practicing the Dharma. We can read the lives of Milarepa and all of the other great lamas. And by doing this, we generate faith and we generate devotion, and this will help dispel the dullness. Likewise, when we have agitation often comes out because we are going after a whole lot of other thoughts, and then we get caught up in the afflictions that arise, and our minds keep going out to these other thoughts and afflictions. And so in order to eliminate that, we need to sort of depress our minds a little bit. We need to generate a little bit of sadness or weariness. We need to generate some weariness with samsara. We need to bring our minds down. And so the way to do this is to think about impermanence. Think about the defects of samsara. Contemplate the different types of suffering that there are. And if you do this, then your mind will become weary and become saddened, and then the agitation will diminish. And so for when we are dull, then we think about the qualities of the Buddha, we think about the qualities of practice, the benefits of practice, and then this increases sort of the clarity, it increases the excitement in our mind. So then this will help clarify and create more interest in our minds.
Tene tateya tatanda dinanda tende songarela tene kama pasumba Wangchuk Dorje ge choshin myalang nane hinege kola sungtu tela ti jipa ndabo song yorela singe talo singe ta geba ta talwa ta sinwa ta talwa tene te yon choro to balap ransar kese ta konge nyengo gong tsine janso la pega de tene janso tela te kare chen yung yore sena tene balap na yung yore balap ti janso te tempo me pan tabo yung yore rela tene ti balap na bo te kandere sena ngaran so nam to man tawa tene nam to tawa kapkala tawa yung yore kapkala nam to rakpa tene chembo yung yore la tene ti tempo ne chu yo mare tene ti balap te kande yung yore sena balap te kura churang ngore ma to tele tadi yo mare la medu tela toro to balap ransar he se ta kura ta se sa se yenda la pa me pa ta yanda go yo mare kura rangin ge hiwa se na tene nam to te sem jeng do hiwa tene simu nyok patma tongtal wasi tate balap mena yang kapkala tanda kora nang la tene che dolunda bota thalanda bota chemanda bot sobne tene janso te tongpa me panjang te tangpa me pandokhrela ta janso la khare gogi yore sena tangpa tembo ndabo yapu gogi yore teacher na tati chema ta nyomanda bote skandin rogre sena tene siwa ta mupate tene tingen zain tela nam to hira mena ya pa nyopne tene salbo me pa salcha khaya me pa tenden rog yorel simu nyop tama ton wa se tati chen ni de dalne tene yomi semji cho ngangi ne se tene te semte chonda boje tene chotangpa simu mepa nyopa mepa, pay on the sina nyopa mepa, danger on the sina simu mepa, pay on the sina balap mepa, danger on the sina nonto mepa, that is empty tini tangpa. Tini tempo, yakpo tangpa, doggy, Johnson Davachi and the Johnson tini pe tangpa, Johnson la tempo and Davo doggy or Tini hini janso meyo temperature se tini ti hini ti janso tava temperature so ta tini sungare la ta ti singe ni ti pangpe tap sungare.
The third Karmapa, Wangchuk Dorje, also talked about this in the aspiration prayer of Mahamudra. He talked about eliminating these faults of dullness and agitation in the aspiration prayer of Mahamudra, where he talked about may the waves of coarse and subtle thoughts be pacified into their own places, or may the waves of coarse and subtle thoughts be pacified into their own places. And so here the example is of like an ocean, and so our mind is like an ocean. And so the ocean is this big body of water. And it is, hopefully, we'd like to have a big body of water that is very stable and calm and peaceful, but there are waves on it. And so there are waves on it, and what the waves are, they're like the thoughts that we didn't have, or the thoughts that we have. And so these waves are like the thoughts, and sometimes they're very subtle or small. Sometimes they are very coarse and very great thoughts that distract us and move about in our waves. But when we look at the waves, there is no other place for them to be but in the ocean. The nature of the waves is just water. They're only made out of water. And so they're not different from the ocean. They don't have any other place to go but that ocean. And so in the same way, there is no place for the thoughts to go but our minds. There is no other place for them to be, no other place to go but our minds. And so they so they just can be let to be to pacify themselves into the internal mind, and so that is like the waves being pacified into the ocean. And then when we have, and so that is like the agitation. When we have the when we have dullness, it is given the there's the example given of may we have it be the ocean, the ocean be free of the sediment of dullness. Maybe the ocean be free of the sediment of dullness. And so here, it's like if you have an ocean and there's a lot of silt and there's a lot of sand and dirt in it. This is like the dirt, the impurities that are in the ocean. And so we need to allow that to just sort of settle out and sort of let the ocean be purified. We need to have like an ocean that is stable and that is pure. We need to have meditation that is stable and clear. And so we need to let the dirt and the silt of the dullness settle into itself. And so in this way, we need to and so in this way, when there is this sort of silt and this dirt of the dullness, then our meditation is unclear. And so we need to have a clear. We need to let the ocean just clear itself, let the silt settle down to the bottom. And so in this way, we want to have it be like an unmoving river, that it just rests within itself. And so we want to let the dirt of the silt and the dirt of the dullness just sink, and we want to let the motion of the waves, the motion of the waves settle into itself. And so in this way, we have like the example of the waves, which are like the agitation, or of the silt in the sediment that is like the dullness. And so we want, and then the ocean is like the mind. And so we have these examples and then the meanings that they refer to. And what we want to have is to have a pure. We want to have a clear, settled ocean that we have. And so we pray that the ocean may the ocean be purified into itself, and so may we have the pure, stable ocean that is free of dullness and agitation.
다되게 춘튼 이바데 힘내기 춘튼 이바데 로하들라 되는 데른데 좀 지나 검대 진짜.
And so that completes the fourth session on eliminating the faults of dullness and agitation. And so now we will do a little bit of meditation.
Sebe sole